Wild Weather, written by Chris Oxlade. What is wild weather? Wild weather is weather that is very windy, cold, hot, wet or dry. What's the wildest weather you've ever seen? Have you been blown about by super strong winds? Have you been soaked to the skin by pouring rain? Have you heard thunder crashing right above your head? The weather is sometimes so wild that it's better to stay indoors to keep safe. Floods, lightning, strong winds, hurricanes and tornadoes can often kill or injure people, destroy homes or sink ships. This book will take you on a journey around the earth to see some of its wildest weather, finding out why it happens and where it takes place. We'll start with the coldest places of all, Antarctica and the Arctic. Coldest and snowiest. Even in the middle of summer, people in Antarctica and the Arctic have to wear a thick coat, hat and gloves. During winter, the temperature in Antarctica can fall as low as -80 degrees Celsius. It's almost as cold in the Arctic, around -65 degrees Celsius in the winter. In the Antarctic summer, the sun never sets. Even so, the temperature stays below freezing point, 0 degrees Celsius, and the ground is always covered with snow and ice. Frostbite. These freezing temperatures are cold enough to make uncovered fingers, toes and noses freeze within minutes, which can cause frostbite. This can damage skin, and in extreme cases, it can turn black and die. Arctic, Antarctica. Emperor penguins live on the ice in Antarctica. Cold record. In 1983, scientists at the Russian Vostok station in Antarctica recorded a temperature of -89.2 degrees Celsius. That's the coldest temperature ever known on Earth. Blizzards. It's very cold in other places too. In Canada, just south of the Arctic, the temperature can fall to -40 degrees Celsius in winter. A mixture of snow and wind creates another type of wild weather, called a blizzard. During a blizzard, snow can reach a depth of more than a metre in just a few hours. This means that it quickly blocks roads, railways and airport runways. It can also pull down power lines and bury cars. Mountain weather. The tops of high mountains are also freezing cold, snowy and windy. Mountaineers need warm clothes to climb high mountains, even when it's warm and sunny at the bottom. The deepest snow. The snowiest place on Earth is Sukeyu Onsen, in the mountains of Japan. On average, it gets an amazing 17.6 metres of snow each year. That's the same height as a 5-story building. Hottest and driest. Many parts of the Earth get very hot too. They are places on and close to the equator, an imaginary line around the middle of the Earth. This is where the sun shines strongest. There are many deserts close to the equator. The Sahara is a huge desert that stretches right across North Africa, north of the equator. People living in the Sahara have to protect themselves from heat. They wear loose, light-coloured clothes that keep off the sun's rays, but let air circulate to keep them cool. North Africa, the Sahara, the equator. The Sahara Desert. Top temperature. The highest temperature ever recorded on Earth was a scorching 56.7 degrees Celsius in Death Valley, California in 1913. Dry deserts. The hottest places can also be the driest. In some deserts, it rains only a few times each year, and sometimes not for years on end. Drought. Sometimes there's no rain for weeks or months in the place where it normally does rain. This is called a drought. The soil becomes dry and cracked, and crops and other plants die. This can leave people and animals without food. Sandstorms and dust storms. In deserts, there's also another type of wild weather. Sandstorms. Strong, swirling winds blow sand into the air, covering everything in dust and making it difficult for people and animals to breathe. Dust storms can also happen when there's a drought. The dry soil is blown into the air, taking it away from the crops and causing problems for farmers. The driest place. The world's driest place is the Atacama Desert in South America. In some parts of Atacama, not a single drop of rain has ever been recorded. Rains and more rain. Unlike deserts, many places get a lot of rain. The steamy Amazon rainforest is one of the wettest places on the planet. Here it rains almost every day, and plants love the warm, wet weather that helps them to grow. Monsoon rains. In many places around the world, but mainly in Asia, there are both dry seasons and wet seasons during the year. The wet season is called the monsoon. For a few months, thick clouds roll in from the sea, bringing heavy rain almost every day. The wettest place. The town of Mosaram in northern India gets heavy monsoon rains. An amazing 11.9 metres of rain falls here every year, enough to drown a 3-storey house. Motorcyclists hold up umbrellas to shelter from the monsoon rains. Floods. When heavy rain falls every day, as it does during monsoon, streams and rivers can't carry away the rainwater fast enough. The rivers fill up and then overflow, and water floods the land alongside the rivers. This means that farmland, villages and towns can be underwater, sometimes for weeks or months, ruining crops and homes. Somerset floods. In late 2013 and early 2014, a record amount of rainfall fell in southern England. A low-lying area of land called the Somerset Levels was badly flooded, and hundreds of people had to leave their homes. The water took months to drain away. Flash floods. Flash floods happen when it rains extremely heavily in one place. The streets can be dry 1 minute, but deep underwater a few minutes later. The rainwater can flow very fast, bursting into homes and washing away cars. Thunder and lightning. Heavy rain is often accompanied by thunderstorms. Thunderstorms happen every day in the tropics. the area around the middle of the earth. Thunderstorms are created by thunderclouds which start small but grow taller and taller and wider and wider. A fully grown thundercloud, called a cumulonimbus cloud, is about 10 kilometers high. Cumulonimbus cloud. You can recognize a thundercloud from far away because its top is spread out. Super strong winds blow up and down inside a thundercloud, carrying water drops and ice crystals up and down. The drops and the crystals grow bigger and bigger until they hurtle to the ground. Hailstones sometimes fall from thunderclouds. This car is covered with hailstones after a storm. African storms. More thunderstorms happen in Africa than anywhere else in the world. You can hear the rumble of the thunder and see flashes of lightning almost every day of the year. Lightning. A streak of lightning you see during a thunderstorm is a giant spark of electricity. Ice crystals or raindrops bump into each other inside a thundercloud. This makes positive electric charges and negative electric charges build inside the cloud. The electric charges in the cloud make charges build up in the ground too. When the positive and negative charges gets very large, a spark jumps between them with a flash. Lightning makes thunder. As lightning jumps through the air, it heats the air very quickly. This makes the air expand suddenly, which makes the boom that we hear as thunder. How lightning is formed. The most lightning strikes. The place that gets the most lightning strikes is the Catacumbo River in Venezuela. On average, it has 3,600 lightning strikes in an hour. Tornadoes. The biggest thunderstorms create tornadoes. A tornado is a spinning column of air, shaped like a giant funnel. Tornadoes are sometimes called twisters because of the way they look. Tornadoes bring the world's strongest winds. Tornadoes happen all over the world, but some places get lots of them. Tornado Alley in the USA got its name because hundreds of tornadoes hit the area every year. How a tornado is formed. Touchdown. If the bottom end of a tornado touches the ground, the violent winds smash everything to pieces. The wind picks up anything in its path, trees, fences, houses, and hurls them around and around. In 1931, in Mississippi, a tornado even picked up a heavy train and threw it 30 meters through the air. Tornado record. The fastest wind ever measured was in a tornado, blowing at 484 kilometers per hour. That's as fast as the world's fastest express train. A tornado in Oklahoma. On 20th May 2013, at 3:57 in the afternoon, a tornado touched down near the city of Moore, near Oklahoma City, USA. It was a giant, growing until it was an incredible 2.1 kilometers wide. Inside, winds reached a terrifying 340 kilometers per hour. The tornado lasted for 39 minutes and traveled for 27 kilometers. The tornado demolished a road bridge, farm buildings, and factories. It destroyed 1,150 homes, a primary school, and threw a car up on the roof of a medical centre. Sadly, 24 people were killed and 377 injured. Tornado damage in Oklahoma. Hurricanes. Just like a tornado, a hurricane is made up of swirling cloud. The winds in a hurricane aren't as strong as they are in a tornado, but a hurricane is hundreds or thousands of times bigger. Hurricanes bring the most powerful and extreme weather on Earth. They grow from groups of thunderstorms that move slowly across the sea, gaining energy. Hurricanes are also sometimes called typhoons or cyclones. How a hurricane is formed. Inside a hurricane. A hurricane contains thick bands of cloud and a clear hole in the centre, called the eye. Hurricanes bring super strong winds, heavy rain and thunderstorms. They can also push up giant waves at sea. When the waves hit the coast, they pour inland and flood everything in their path. The largest hurricane. The biggest hurricane ever recorded was called Typhoon Tip and formed in the Pacific Ocean in 1979. It grew to 2,220 kilometers across. Hurricane Katrina. In most years, a hurricane hits the southeast coast of the USA, damaging property and taking lives. In August 2009, a hurricane grew over the Atlantic Ocean and started to move towards the USA. Each new hurricane is given a name, and this one was called Katrina. On 29th of August, it hit the coast of Louisiana, close to the city of New Orleans. Hurricane Katrina's strong winds pushed seawater onto the coast, causing extreme flooding. New Orleans was protected by flood barriers, but Katrina pushed the sea level up so high that the water poured over the barriers and into the city. In some places, the water grew to 6 meters deep. About 1,800 people died because of Hurricane Katrina. Most of them were trapped in their houses in New Orleans and drowned. It was a terrible disaster. The city is still recovering from it, and many people have never returned to their damaged homes. A fishing boat wrecked by Hurricane Katrina. Path of Hurricane Katrina. The hurricane damaged many people's houses. Take cover. We've seen that the Earth's weather can be very wild indeed, but how can we protect ourselves from it? Sometimes we just need to wear the right clothes. But for some wild weather, such as tornadoes, special shelters are used to protect people and animals. Predicting wild weather. One way of protecting ourselves is to forecast when wild weather, such as blizzards and floods, might happen. Then people have a chance to get away before the wild weather strikes. Powerful computers are helping weather experts to get better at forecasting all the time. Future weather. Many weather scientists think that we'll get more wild weather in the future because of global warming and climate change. This means it's extremely important for us all to do everything we can to prevent climate change, as well as being more prepared than ever for wild weather.